Hey, um, I didn't just start this video in order to sigh, but that's the energy I've got right now. No, everything's okay. I had I've got, and this is something that again I'll probably discuss more as time goes on. Um, I have minimal extended family. Um, my well, the people who were my parents were not very nice people. Um, so I haven't seen them since just after my eldest was born. Um, Long story short, um, mother with, well, borderline personality disorder is probably as good a diagnosis as I can make with my layman's understanding. But deeply narcissistic, conditional love, all of these things, and a father who just didn't care, just wasn't involved, just buried his head in the sand. So once my eldest Evan was born, who's now 14 and a half, all that side of things kind of suddenly became really really clear, and I just I even like as a baby, like they met him a few times, and I could just see those patterns for what they were in terms of the way that I'd been treated. I just remember there was this one moment where, you know, this little innocent kid, he was less than one. He was just trying to pull himself up on the sofa and shuffle over towards her, and she turned her back on him, and they left the house, and I made it clear that that was the final straw. I never wanted to see them again, because it's. I think becoming a parent makes things very, very well for me anyway. Made things very, very black and white. Um, you know, if you are good to be around my kid, then great. If you are not, you are gone. I'm very black and white anyway. It's part of my autism thing, and it's got me into some difficulties before. Um, but so anyway, to kind of circle back, so I have very little extended family that, in a meaningful sense, there's quite a lot of people out there, but again, because of the way my parents were, we were never close to anybody growing up. None of the extended family were ever made welcome at our house. We were never invited to theirs, so it's just a lot of people. I said Christmas. Well, in more recent years, I've tried to start sending Christmas cards and things to these people because they're, as far as I can tell, all good people. But um, so basically, my uncle, my uncle and aunt in Cumbria, and then my brother in York, who, well, that's a whole other story. Great guy, really great guy. Our relationship struggled because of fallout from our parents, but we've I think both managed to finally kind of reflect and see everything for what it was, and we've made a well, we've rebuilt our relationship. So, and we moved up here to Scotland really with no backup whatsoever. Um, I had my uncle in Cumbria. I hadn't spoken to my brother in a long time, and um, my other brother Duncan, he unfortunately passed away. So yeah, I was feeling quite without a safety net. Um, so this has changed. This has improved. Reunion with my brother Ewan, and I'd just been kind of messaging the broad details of what's gone on the past few weeks to my uncle, and he messaged me and just said, listen, let's, I'd really like to talk to you. Have you got some time? And he literally just phoned me up just to see how I was doing and talk through stuff and offer words of support. And I was just, it still hits me like when people do that. Obviously my wife and my kids are wonderful, and we're very supportive of each other. But I can't tell you how rare it's been in my life for someone to just phone me up and just to say nice things. And yeah, I find it hard to take that on. I think I always will do to some degree, because it's not part of my DNA. It's not what I've it's not the world as I understand it, the world that I've grown up in, really. Very much grew up just looking out for myself, because I was the only one who was massively interested in what was happening in my life. But no, it's I know it's a small thing, but it's a small thing that it's almost like, I guess, an iceberg. It's a small thing, but the thing is, there's so much underneath. There's so much kind of meaning that's associated. Yeah, it's a long way around to say that I had a nice phone call, but tells you a little bit more about kind of where my head's at. Tell you what, though, I do genuinely feel like I've got backup these days, which is lovely. Don't get me wrong, I've met a few crazies up here, because there's a few crazies everywhere, but I've got some wonderful friends, and my friend Jonathan, he as soon as I told him I'd lost my job, he just said, right, I'm coming round. We're going to have a brew. We're going to talk about it. And he did. And that was, again, he just was like, I'm coming over. That was really nice. And so I'm going to be doing, I think, a lot of work on myself, in terms of, first of all, learning to accept just people being nice and having my back, and trying to internalize it that, it's not just words. People do have my back. I think, but also, again, like I said previously, it's this whole thing that I need to not think of myself as an island. I need to stop thinking of everything as being purely on me. And again, that's going to take a lot of work to get there. But this whole idea that everything that I do is, if anything doesn't work, it's all on me. It's my failure, or it's my responsibility purely to fix. That's not life. That's not human nature. We are social animals. We are only where we are as a species because we learned the power of language and cooperation. If we were all sole nomadic creatures and had always been, we would probably still be using stone tools. And I certainly wouldn't be on YouTube right now. Yep.